What's up guys, welcome to another Scratch tutorial. This is part 3 on how to make a maze game in Scratch, and in this video we'll be looking at how to make a level system and the enemies, and also I will be creating the death of the player. So anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So here's the code from last time, and if you haven't seen parts 1 or 2 yet, you can check it out, links in the description. But anyways, first I have created a second level, and it's called level 2. I have a space where the enemy is going to be or is going to spawn, and I also added some spikes. And the spikes are basically very easy to make. All you need to do is just get a gray square or rectangle and just delete one of the sides and then drag it to make a triangle. But anyways, I'm going to fix some bug that I noticed. So this if statement or if else statement does not run all the time, so I can't put a forever loop around this, or else it will create the clones forever, and that will make the game laggy. So I'm going to go to control and drag a wait until block, and I'm going to drag this in here and drag that after the wait until. So that will solve the problem, and if you just need to make another level, just duplicate it, and then you just change this to 3 or whatever level this is, and then insert the clones. And I also need the finish and starting point to be where they are on the level. So I need to create a simple level system. So inside the player, this if else statement, I'm going to go into sensing and drag a mouse down, and then I'm going to go to events and drag a broadcast new message, and I'm going to call this message, let's say, next level. And I'm going to go to the backdrops, and I'm going to drag a when I receive next level. Then I'm going to go to looks and drag a next backdrop block. So I want the finishing point to be over here. So I'll just duplicate this and put that inside the else, but change this to 3. And I'm going to go to X -196 and Y -15. And same with the starting point. I need to duplicate this and put this inside the else and change this to 3. And I'm going to put this over here, so I'll drag it like that. And that is X 209 and Y -153. So now if we run it, if we collect all the coins, and then we press the space. Oh yeah. So the reason why this doesn't work is that I need to change this to make it a key space pressed. So that was just a mistake that I have made, and if I collect all the coins, then we can go to the next level. But the player doesn't start at the beginning, so I'm going to go into the player sprite, and this is really simple. All you need to do is drag out when I receive next level. Then I'm going to set the X and Y variables, or I can just duplicate this, which is, I think that's quicker, and just set to the starting point. Set the X and Y variables to the starting point. But I need to do one more thing, which is wait a short delay, which is I'm going to say 0.001 seconds, to make sure the code in the other sprites are running before this a piece of code is running. So if I run it now, I can go to the next level, which is exactly what I want. So next I'm going to create the enemies, and I'm just going to make the costume actually I'm going to duplicate the coin sprite and make this enemies. And I'm going to make this a simple square. red square. So the fill needs to be red. And I think that size is fine. And I want it to create clones, so some are going to be dissimilar. This part of code needs to go and trash it. And also this piece of code also need to trash that too. And I'm going to go and to create some variables called enemy X and enemy Y. And make sure to click for the sprite only. So I need to make sure when the flag is clicked, I have to set these variables to 0. Or actually, I'm going to set it to the X position and Y position. And when I start as a clone, I'm going to go to control and drag forever loop. And forever, I'm going to check if the enemy is touching the level, and this is the color black. So if your level is a different color, make sure to change this. So if it's touching the color black, then I'm going to go to XY, and I'm going to go to variables and drag enemy X and enemy Y. Else, I'm going to set both of these variables to X position and Y position. So I'm going to go to motion and drag X position and Y position. So lastly, I'm going to make sure it spawns on the second level, and I want the enemy to spawn over here. So I'm going to make some couple changes to this. Instead of this, I'm going to make it an event. So instead, it's going to be a when key M is pressed. Then I could take the if statement and everything else. Then I'm going to wait until not key M is pressed and set the coin X and coin Y variables to mouse X and mouse Y. So if I go into the enemies and I just click M and I show the mouse X and the coin X and coin Y variables, it's 83, coin X is 83 and coin Y is -47. And I'm also going to rename these variables, coin X and coin Y, to mouse X and mouse Y, because I'm using this also for the enemies, so it's not just for the coins. Okay, so now I can hide the enemy X and enemy Y variables and the mouse X and mouse Y. So I need to double click the flag, and if I collect all the coins and then I press spacebar, as you can see there's enemies, but it does not go toward the player, and we haven't created the movement. So go to motion, drag a move 2 steps, and then I point towards, not mouse pointer, but player. But as you can see, it kind of rotates like that, which is pretty weird, and it gets stuck in the wall like that. So I'm going to set the rotation style to go to rotate. So it will go toward the player, but it won't rotate like what it did last time. So next we want the player to die if the enemy is touching the player. So I'm going to go into the player sprite, and I'm going to create a new custom block. So I'm going to make a block, and I'll call this something like check death, or something like, yeah, check death. Or check if dead. Well, because that sounds better to me. Or you can just rename this or something like that. It doesn't really matter to me. So I just need to check if the player is touching the enemy, or it's touching the spikes. So I'm going to go to operators and drag a or, and then go to sensing and drag a touching mouse pointer and change this to enemies, and then drag a touching color and change this to the gray color. Then if it is, then I'm going to set the X and Y variables to X position of starting point and the Y position of starting point. So let me just test this out real quick. So if I touch these spikes, I should be dead. Well, that doesn't work. Well, let's see if the enemies work. Okay, no. Oh, well, yeah, I just need to drag this in. I forgot, so sorry. So now it should work. Okay, yeah, it works. So that is exactly what I want, and what you want, and what you should want also. Okay, so in the coin sprite, we need the coin to spawn. So I'm going to make one right here. I need to show these variables. So I need to duplicate this and change this to 3. And this is 79 and 83. And I'm going to make one over here also. So that is negative 86 and negative 144. Or 186. And then, lastly, I want 1 to be over here. So that is negative 124. And Y, negative 127. So I spawn the coins, and if I try this out real quick, I will collect all the coins. And, yep, the coins work. And that is good, and which is exactly what we want. Okay, but as you notice that it wasn't darkened, and that's because we need to make sure to check the all collected variable in the coin sprite. So when I'm going to go to events and drag a when I receive next level, then I'm going to set the all collected variable to false. Okay, so that should work. And to make this faster, I can just change this to level 2. So now if I run it, the finish line is darkened, which is good. And if I can avoid the enemy, I can collect all the coins, and I can proceed to the next level, but we haven't created one yet. And if it wasn't working for you, well, you need to make sure to take this out because the wait until is still running, and it's blocking this piece of code, so make sure to just take it out like this, or just swap it around like that. But anyways, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next Scratch tutorial. Peace out.